My name is Victor Fursov. I am a research entomologist, beekeeper and teacher. And today we will be watching small tiny insects, small parasitoids. I'm trying to show you some glass tubes with insects inside, and they're very small, so quite difficult to watch. So that's why I'm try to make focus to show you some insects inside. And who are these insects? Why will we be talking about these insects? We are translating this stream online from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, on May 8th, 2024, just online, just streaming, and at the same time I'm showing you some insects and I'm talking about them. And these are small egg parasitoids. Egg parasitoids, it means they're developing inside eggs of other insects. They're parasitoids, they're feeding on other insects. As far as they are egg parasitoids, they're feeding on eggs of insects. They're feeding on eggs of butterflies, night moths, different lepidopterans, and also on eggs of beetles and some other insects. Because these are small Trichogramma, small tiny egg parasitoids of the genus Trichogramma. They are feeding on small eggs of other insects, and they are used in biological control of agricultural pests. I try to show you under the different angles to show you more what I'm watching inside the tubes. These are egg parasitoids, so they are very tiny. These insects, they have size very small, just 0.5 millimeter size, half of millimeter. So in this tube, probably thousands of them just crawling now. And what they are doing here, they just hatched, they just emerged from eggs of grain moth, because they are used for biological control of agricultural pests. So they are bred inside the laboratories in Ukraine. So they are used for applications against agricultural pests in the field, against corn moth. Corn moth, Ostrinia nubilalis, is the most important pest on corn in Ukraine. So in some organic farmer, these insects are used for organic control of agricultural pests such as Ostrinia nubilalis, corn moth. And for that, some laboratories are breeding these insects in laboratory on grain moth, Cytotropha cerearella. Before they were breeding it last season, so we started to breed them in this season after diapausing them in the refrigerators. So we need to make mass breeding before the season. Now it's not precisely the season. Season will be in the middle of summer. So that's why this is period of mass hatching of these insects. And some laboratories send me these insects for taxonomical control. What means taxonomical control? Taxonomical control, it means identification of species name. So you have recognized that these insects are very small, half of millimeter. It's quite difficult to identify them to species level. So for that it needs to make some microscopic slides and to make some photos under their high magnification. Because half of millimeter insects, it's practically impossible to identify them on naked eye. Just only color can be visible sometimes. But colors of these insects, color of these parasitoids, it's not important. Color change of body. Colors can be changed because of different temperature in the laboratory. There are 3 species of Trichogramma which are used for biological control of agricultural pests in Ukraine. Trichogramma pintei, Trichogramma evanescens, and Trichogramma achea. 3 species which are used for control of agricultural pests. Previously, the most important species was Trichogramma pintei, but now it was identified in some biological experiments that Trichogramma evanescens is much more effective for biological control of corn moth in a field of corns. So that's why breeders have been advised to use for their breeding tree and applications Trichogramma evanescens. So I'm trying to keep this culture before identification, and I received this culture for identification. What is the species is here inside, Trichogramma pintei or Trichogramma evanescens. Hopefully people from laboratories helping that this should be Trichogramma evanescens. Only morphological identification and of course genetical DNA identification can be used for taxonomical control. But even with morphological identification, it's possible to identify Trichogramma pintei, Trichogramma evanescens, Trichogramma achea using different morphological features, such as features of antennae of males, structure of male genitalia, and also it's important to control sex index, how many males, how many females, and correlation, the ratio between males and females. So I'm not sure, is it one species or not? It's impossible to say what is species inside, only after making preparations in potassium hydroxide and then on microscopic microslides. I need to make some photos and make precise identification what is the species is inside. Of course, it's possible to use molecular identification. If you have equipment, we have a molecular database in internet, so for comparison of different structures. But identification key on morphology is also developed, so it's quite possible to identify them on morphological features. But only it needs some time, some skills, and preparation of microscopic slides and also photographing of male genitalia for identification. So that's why we use it. But these 2 species, Trichogramma pintei and evanescens, can be easily mixed in laboratory. So that's the problem. If they are mixed in laboratory, one species can remove another species because of different correlation of males, females, and different time for their breeding. Trichogramma pintei is developing more quickly in laboratory rather than Trichogramma evanescens. So that's why if you keep culture of Trichogramma evanescens together with Trichogramma pintei, just possibly even occasionally, just by case, not especially for breeding, but for case, Trichogramma evanescens will be removed from laboratory. Only Trichogramma pintei will remain in biological laboratory. And also, different species can be used for different pests. Trichogramma evanescens is advised to be used against corn borer, corn moth, Trichogramma achea against tomato moth, noctuide moth, and Trichogramma pintei probably on some pests on vegetables, or at least on corn moth if you have no choice, but efficiency will be much less. And here we can see tubes with thousands of males and females, were just hatched from eggs of rain moth, Citrochogramma. So that's why black parasitized eggs inside tubes, and many imagos, many males, are crowding around. So hundreds, even thousands, I guess. Maybe 10,000 in one tube, at least. Or maybe even more, 20,000 in one tube. For application in the field, in the agriculture, Trichogramma is breeding in the laboratory conditions, and before emergence, or just when emergence just started, this mixture of eggs of Citrochogramma with some mixed material can be spread in a cornfield, and these tiny insects can be released for biological control of corn moth in a field or some other moths. So this is a Trichogramma. Very interesting, very funny, very, very small parasitoids, which is famous for biological control of agricultural pests. If you can find some eggs of moths, of butterflies, of beetles, eggs of another insects, you can keep them in glass tubes, and occasionally you can rear some eggs, parasitoids, from these eggs of hosts. So if you are interested to know about species name, I can make you identification of these Trichogramma parasitoids. If you can send me these individuals in alcohol or dry. So if you're interested in cooperation, you are welcome. Just most important to collect insects, eggs of insects, keep them in glass tubes, very carefully, with great care. Write label of collecting, name of host, name of collector, dates, country, and send it to me for identification. We can make some cooperation in identification and study of egg parasitoids. So this is a story about Trichogramma, about parasitoids, about their breeding in laboratory in Ukraine. I'm pleased to show you these tubes which I received for identification, for taxonomical control. And I'm pleased to tell you a story about biological application of these very interesting but very small parasitoids. These are egg parasitoids Trichogramma. If you're interested, you can read. You can watch another video in Russian. Watch it on my channel in translation folder. So this is translation folder in English. This is for English audience. Other language will be in the same folder in Russian. English for English audience in India, in all countries around the world, which is more than 1 billion people can understand English. Yes, these are not ants, these are tiny, small calcid wasps. Small calcid wasps with size of 0.5 millimeter. Very tiny, small beneficial wasps, because they reduce population of some agricultural pests, which are important pests in agriculture and forestry. So these are funny parasitoids, biocontrol agents to control dangerous lepidopterans. Thank you for watching. Press like, write your comments. Visit my Patreon page. Buy me coffee. And welcome to be my sponsor. Welcome to watch my other videos on my channel. So these are tubes which I am keeping in laboratory this evening time. Good luck, see you soon on my channel. Bye bye.